Now that I've established more of the kind of frivolity and excess of the people in the Rococo period, doesn't it then make sense that they want their art to remind them of that? Like, they don't want all of the intense drama of the Baroque, and they definitely don't want all the oppressive religious stuff of the Baroque either, right? They're like, oh, no, just like, let's have fun. Like, let's just get drunk on champagne. Woohoo! Let's have some sugar and coffee. They're like buzzed and drunk all at the same time. I like that idea. Okay, so here we are looking at our next painting. This is by Francois Boucher. Boucher is the perfect example of the Rococo. Now you might be thinking, Miss Cortez is Boucher. In French, an ER is pronounced A. I know, I know. This piece here is called Cupid a Captive. And the long format of it is because it's one of three painted panels that had originally been a room divider. Room dividers, remember? Hiding those pee-pee pots or other things. But here we have these hand-painted panels that would have been placed into some elaborate decorative frame with arabesque and whiplash lines, right? And we're looking at just one of the panels. It's called Cupid a Captive because, well, what we have is little fat boy here is Cupid, god of love, and he's been captured by these gorgeous half-naked young women. Well, she's very naked. And two other little Cupids, they look down at him and like, oh no. And oh, he's just being tortured, isn't he? Look at that. Oh, they've just tickled him with these rose petals draped on this extremely expensive mustard yellow and blue silk fabric. Look at how they've teased him. They took away his arrows. Naughty, naughty. So what did he do? Did he just fly by and the girls are capturing him to implore him to make their young beaux fall madly in love with them? Are they looking at him and saying, please make him fall in love with me. I love him so much. I won't give you back your arrows until you do. Right? Okay. Subject matter, Rococo. Frivolous, flirtatious. There is some kind of erotic sensuality to it as well. I mean, look at their bodies. Look at their flesh. It's so full and plump. And look at the colors. They highlight the pink of their fingertips and their nipples and their toes. Miss Cortez, you just said nipples. I know, I know. But these are like, touch points. So there's this kind of blush in their cheeks and this tickle of pink on all of their nerve endings. And talk about arabesque lines. Their bodies fall in these gorgeous arabesque lines. Look at that line there. Look at her. She's my favorite. Basically, she's just one long arabesque line. Look at Cupid just tumbling, tumbling. See this curl of these bodies. Everybody's in these arabesque lines. If we were to look at the rest of the space, we see that soft color palette, these pale blues and pinks and greens. Look at, I told you, Cupids or statues are there to help you out. Well, we're just supposed to enjoy the kind of tickle and play and tumble of the scene here as they hold back his arrows. It's so frivolous. It's so Rococo. Now, Boucher is the favored artist of Madame du Pompadour, and he gets a lot of commissions. We are not going to look at all of those commissions, but I want to show you just a couple more of his pieces because I like his work. So this one here, you might think, oh, it's not very pale. Yeah, okay. The characteristics of like pastel color palette may not apply, but it still is a very sentimental, frivolous, playful scene. What we're supposed to see is a young shepherdess and her little brother are distracted because this handsome young man came by and he's feeding her grapes. And, well, oh, lustful. Yeah, okay, okay. And her boobs are about to fall out, and he's feeding her grapes, which are symbolic of wine, and wine gets you all drunk, and oh, goodness gracious. Here, this is another of Boucher's that I like. This one is Madame Boucher. This is his wife. It's technically titled Lady on Her Daybed, Madame Boucher. So we have his wife, and she's sitting here on this gorgeous Rococo. Look at that arabesque whiplash line. Ooh, when I say whiplash, do you get what I mean by whiplash? I mean, think about like a whip, and that kind of slap and curl of a whiplash line. Okay. So we see that here in this beautiful couch, and she looks like she's been reading, and if we were alive at this time, we would recognize that she's in her, well, undergarments. This is the stuff she wears underneath her more elaborate and expensive clothing. This is like her underwear. And her little risque leg showing through, and she's got a blush in her cheeks as she turns away. Oh, Madame Boucher, you've maybe had a little activity on this bed with your husband, and he stopped to paint your picture. I love this cabinet back here. Look at the Rococo, it's everywhere. Also, here we have a little sitting Buddha. So this is showing their import-export with China. So these are very expensive, exotic statues. Look at the wallpaper. Beautiful, elaborate arabesque incrustation of that wallpaper. Oh, here's a painted screen. There you go. Now this one's much more tame than the next Boucher I'm going to show you. Woo! This is not Madame Boucher. This is Louise O'Murphy. She is the young, extremely young, like teenager mistress of Louis XV. And yeah, her whole body is just a long arabesque line, isn't it? The pink of her toes and her knees and her rump. Oh my goodness gracious. So with that, I'm going to finish Boucher, and our next work of art is going to be from one of his students, Fragonard.